Yeah, we can go now.
All right. Okay. So our first question was so can you just tell us some information about yourself? What is your job description and how long have you been doing?
Yeah. So I'm a mental health therapist. I work at Great Lakes Psychology. I've been here at Great Lakes for 3 years. But before that, I worked at a few different agencies. And so I've been in the field for about 10 years.
10 years, wow. Okay, so can you kind of just describe what body image and BDD and kind of what they are?
Yeah, so body image and then body dysmorphic disorder?
Yeah.
Okay. So body image is kind of just how you see your body, right?
Yeah.
Like you look at yourself in the mirror and you think certain things about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Body dysmorphic disorder is this hyper-focused on this perceived flaw that you have.
Okay.
So if I have body dysmorphic disorder, I want you guys to think about, let's say you have a pimple, right?
Uh-huh.
And you're going on a date with somebody.
Yeah.
You got a pimple on your face. That feeling you get when you find out that you got that pimple and that focus that you had before you go on the date, on the pimple, right?
Yeah.
You become very, very focused on having a pimple, right? And so that pimple seemingly gets bigger and bigger and bigger on your face. That's kind of what it's like to have BDD, right? It's this hyper focus with this perceived flaw, whatever that flaw is. So I'm really focused in on this thing that my body is. Either it's too big or too small, I'm too tall or too short. I have this, lack of muscle or whatever that case is. I'm hyper focused on that. That's the only thing I can think about.
And what are some things that can lead to negative body image?
So having a negative body image is different than having BDD. Right?
Yeah.
So negative body image, I think there's a lot of different aspects to having a negative body image. When you think about having a negative body image, your body image is largely determined kind of by what you think social norms are, potentially what are norms within your family structure. So for instance, let's say everybody in your family is 6 feet tall, 6 foot, 6'5", 6'6", and then you are 5'7", right? You might think, I'm so bad because I'm 5'7", because it's not the normal. It's not so it's like this negative body image based on what, you expect, or like what the social expectation is of you, either from your family or from society in general. And so that's why you'll see a lot of negative body image being attacked or being kind of worked on by changing social norms. Mm-hmm. People are talking a lot now about body positivity.
Yeah.
And that is basically because we want to minimize pressure on looking a certain way. Right? When I grew up in the 90s, and that wasn't the case then. Right? Guys were supposed to be really big and muscular, and girls were supposed to be really small and petite, right? And so that was the social pressures that a lot of people felt. And so you would have a negative body image if you didn't fit that category. That makes sense, guys?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So it's just not fitting into a cookie cutter mold and just being able to accept yourself.
Yeah. It's kind of when you have a negative body image, I think you feel like you don't fit in that cookie cutter mold.
Mm-hmm.
So our next question is, how often do you deal with patients with body image or negative body image or BDD?
I would say that negative body image is something that I see very, very often. I would say the vast majority of my clients have some level of negative body image. BDD, I would say that is a little bit more rare.
Yeah.
but I would say that that's still maybe 5% of the population that I see.
Okay.
So I would say, if I have a caseload of, let's say right now my caseload's like at 120 clients, so I think about 10 of them would have like some type of dysmorphic, and that's not really statistically like,
Yeah.
the norm or whatever. But I would say about, I think 10 of my clients right now have some type of dysmorphic disorder.
All right. And our next question is, so how are some ways you help like overcome these problems with your patients, and not just about BDD, but about like negative body image overall?
Yeah. So I think BDD is really hard to work on. So, we can get in kind of the weeds about that, but if you want to talk more about negative body image, I think that is typically working on the cognitions, the thought processes of why I feel like I don't fit the norm and why the norm is important, right? So I think a lot of times we think like, I have to look this way for these reasons, right? I need to look this way because I need to attract somebody that I want to sleep with, right? Like, so the only way I can be attractive is by changing my weight or changing my muscle tone or changing my hairstyle or changing something, right? So there's like, it's this minimizing of who I am as a person and looking at, there's only this one thing that needs to happen so I can be acceptable to other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So one of the ways that we work on that is by presenting us as full humans. Like, start to think about yourself as not just what you look like, but who you are as a person, right? And think about all the different things that make you you, and see those things as important, as valuable, right? It's not just about the way I look. It's about my humor. It's about the movies that I like. It's about my intellect. It's about what school I go to, what kind of things, what kind of activities I like to do, right? It's building up the other parts of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main ways that we deal with a negative body image. Is that's in therapy, you start to try to build up the other parts of who you are. Because I think one of the things that happens a lot of times when we talk to somebody that has negative body image, you'll say, no, you're not what you think you are. You're actually really attractive, right? That doesn't seem to be very beneficial. And the reason why I say that is it doesn't really matter what I say or matter what I think. If you think that you're not attractive, what is going to help is learning how to think differently.
Yeah.
It's not that I have a different opinion. It's that now I can think differently about myself. Does that make sense?
So it's like changing your mindset about how you see yourself.
Yeah, it's changing your mindset about how you see yourself.
Exactly. Okay.
All right, so our next question is, so what other mental and physical disorders are linked with BDD or caused by negative body image?
So I think a lot of times you'll see negative body image attached to anxiety, a lot of like obsessive compulsive disorder, just general anxiety, whereas I think BDD is closely related to depression, right? So those, I would say that those are kind of like the differences there. I mean, depression and anxiety happen really close together, but if you're going to say like what's the closest cousin to those diagnoses, like negative body image is kind of closely related to obsessive compulsive disorder. So is BDD, because it becomes a compulsion to just look at that one part of your body. But a lot of times with BDD, the person's also going to experiencing some severe depression.
Okay.
Where you can have a negative body, a negative view of your body, but you won't see that maybe the same level of depression.
All right, and what can we do or say to our community to raise awareness about body image and BDD? So what are some ways we can let people know that it's okay to like talk about this stuff and that it's not weird and that it's okay?
Yeah. So one of the things that we were talking about earlier is the social pressures, right?
Yeah.
So normalizing different beauty is going to be really important. And talking to people more about who they are as human beings and less about what they look like is also, I think, going to be really beneficial in helping fight the battle against negative body image. You know, if we as a society begin to talk about people like, you know, I don't know if you guys have ever talked about people like on a rating system, like, oh, that guy's a 6 or that girl's a 7, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why she's a 7 is because she looks this way, or the reason why he's a 8 is because he looks this way. What happens is we start to minimize people based on their physical appearance. That cultural pressure is like the breeding ground for a negative view of yourself. So changing the way we talk about attraction, I think, is going to be really beneficial in your schools.
Yep.
You know, so talking about like, hey, that girl's really attractive, not just because of the way she looks, but because of the way she talks, because we laugh together, because she likes the same things I like, because she comes from a similar family or maybe a different family, or whatever the case is. Like, that person's attractive because as a human being, I'm attracted to them. I'm not just attracted to their physical qualities. Okay? And normalizing that, I think, will help people start to put less pressure on the way that they're perceived physically.
So kind of like deepening how you think about people and like your ways of evaluating a person. Yep.
Yeah. Deepening the way you think about people and the way you evaluate people. Yeah.
I think that's all of our questions, and thank you for your time and really helping us out today.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you, guys.
your help will
right,
really...
You guys have a good day.
Yep, you too.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Yep.